To get started, just scroll down to the bottom of any YouTube page. Clicking the Restricted Mode button turns this feature on or off. When it's on, you have the option to lock restricted mode on your browser. When you have restricted mode locked, no one else will be able to change this restricted mode but you. This means that other people using their YouTube accounts will have restricted mode enabled and they won't be able to disable it. And here's another tip. If you don't want this to be tampered with, it's best to sign out of your YouTube account after locking restricted mode on your browser. This way no one can sign in as you and disable it. Now let's go over restricted mode on phones and tablets. Unlike desktop, you can't lock restricted mode on mobile. It's tied to your account and not the device. So if my nephew wants to use my phone, I'll make sure that I turn restricted mode on when he signs in with his account. When you're on the YouTube app or mobile site, just tap the menu icon at the top to get to settings. From here you'll see options to enable or disable restricted mode.
Hi, yes, it's YouTube stupid time again. What have YouTube done this time? Because they have a fabulous history of just doing the most ridiculous stuff and screwing their content creators. What have they done this time? YouTube Restricted Mode, which is designed to protect people from harmful opinions and content that might offend them or content that might disturb them or whatever. And well, let's not get into all that, but it's made all the news recently where a lot of channels have been totally cut off. Totally cut off if you turn on YouTube Restricted Mode. It's an option down the bottom of the screen. Go look it up right now. If you're watching YouTube, right down the bottom of the screen, there'll be a little setting for Restricted Mode on or off. And it's designed for things like, say you're had computers in a school or something like that. You might turn on restricted mode so that kids can't accidentally come across questionable material and, noble enough intention, right? But so many YouTubers have been caught up in this, especially like news programs and stuff like that, where they've suddenly found that their content, if somebody viewing their YouTube page has restricted mode turned on, then all their videos have vanished. Just gone. Poof. Like, I'm talking massive channels, and I'll show you one in a minute. And I thought, okay, no way my channel could be affected by something like this because I do engineering, right? I don't do off-topic political rants. I think I did once or twice back 5 years ago or something. But basically, I just do, engineering videos. There's no way it could affect a channel like me. A lot of big YouTubers have been hit that have lots of, very opinionated content, current affairs content and other, content that some people might find offensive or something like that, but no, can't affect me. Oh yeah? You want to bet? Let's go have a look, shall we? Here we go. YouTube Restricted Mode, here it comes. Let's have a look. Here's my channel here. And thankfully, thank you very much YouTube for being so generous. All my videos are still there, and you can actually go to I'm logged in, but you can go to a channel, like an account where I'm not logged in, and my videos are all still there. Everything's hunky-dory, right? I noticed this on my latest video. Look at this, right? here it is, down the bottom. YouTube Restricted Mode on. So if I just move my face up there you go. Restricted Mode on or off, and I believe it's off by default or whatever, and that's fine, but when you turn it on, look, all of my comments have vanished on this video. A shocking oscilloscope problem. It's a video about oscilloscopes. Restricted Mode has hidden comments for this video, and I thought, oh, okay, somebody actually said something that's triggered some algorithm somewhere, right? And okay, it's just some stupid YouTube algorithm thing. We've seen it before. Okay. And that would be an issue in its own right. But no, go look at my other videos. That's my next recent one. Restricted Mode. Restricted Mode. All my comments. It looks like on every one of my last 5 videos. Haven't checked further than that, but if I go back to my very first video, EVlog number 1, restricted mode. Every single video, all 1100 or whatever videos on my channel have had their comments restricted. Everything. What the photon YouTube is going on here? This is utterly insane. An engineering channel to have all its comments disabled. And watch, I mean, if I go down here and I actually turn it back off, then bingo, it's going to pop back up and all my comments load again. Thank you very much. But you turn restricted mode on, every single comment on every single video I have ever made is turned off. So, like school students or whatever, if they're, at university studying engineering or whatever, and the university deems, oh, we've got to have all the computers turn restricted mode on to protect the students, they can't comment on my videos. This is absolutely insane. What the photon is going on here? This is just absolute insanity. Anyway, let me take you over to here very quickly. Let's have a look. Okay, so I'm all good. All my videos are still there. So this is an account which is not logged in. This is a different browser. So it looks like, please tell me if any of my videos are missing, but it looks like they seem to be all there. So unlike some channels like Philip DeFranco, like Phil DeFranco, who just covers daily news and stuff, pretty central leaning kind of commentary, nothing in the least bit really offensive about what he says or done. His channel, look, there's only 2 videos available. How many videos has this guy actually made? Tons, right? There's only 2 videos. Everything else is missing with restricted mode turned on. That is insane. That is, and here's all his videos. There you go. There's all his videos. What? Hi again. I just got finished uploading my YouTube restricted video, and 2 things have come to light. A, people said that my YouTube restricted video has been restricted. I was just saying in the previous video that none of the videos on my channel seem to have been restricted. I can't look through all 1100 or whatever, but it turns out, look, here it is. You refresh my page, YouTube restricted mode, and this is a browser that's not logged in, right? And it's not there. It's not, these are in newest order. It's not there. And if you actually go down and turn restricted mode off, it will magically reappear. Magic. YouTube it looks like YouTube are deliberately, there's no other reason for it. I've got YouTube restricted mode comments in the title. They're obviously flagging comments, videos about that and disabling it. It is the only, has that suddenly got my channel flagged now that all new videos I upload are going to be disabled? I don't know. I have no idea what's going on there, but it looks like my video is not there. There it is, gone, poof. Jeez, thanks for, censoring all debate about the damn thing. But once again, no, it's like most people are in the position where they can disable YouTube restricted mode, right? Some people won't be because the machine's locked. There's actually an option down the bottom that tells you, lock this browser so that nobody else using that browser can re-enable or disable restricted mode or whatever. But, come on. That's ridiculous. And the other thing is, which I didn't check, I should have, sorry, in the previous video, it looks like every single video on YouTube, whether it's CNN or whether it's YouTube itself, doesn't matter what channel it is, in restricted mode, they all have the comments disabled. This is CNN, right? They're one of the protected puppies, right? They're one of the protected species, and they've got their restricted mode disabled. And then if you go to actual, can we go to YouTube's actual channel, YouTube Spotlight, for example? Does it happen to YouTube Spotlight? I don't know. I don't watch bloody YouTube Spotlight. But let's go into a channel here. Let's see if YouTube's own videos. Yep, YouTube are censoring their own videos. It looks like nobody is allowed to comment on any YouTube channel, any YouTube video, YouTube-wide. How many billions of videos are there? I don't know. Totally disabled in restricted mode. Restricted mode is protecting people because somebody might say something offensive in the comments. Ooh, you can't have the special snowflakes being, offended by the comments, or having the advertisers' ads appear next to, the ads that pop up. Men mustn't know someone's paid for an ad there for the bloody six-pack shortcuts. It's ridiculous. Yeah, they don't want their ads appearing next to potentially any comment which could, which they don't agree with. Oh no, we've got to, force YouTube to put in, to disable everything. The whole shebang, the whole show, gone. In YouTube restricted mode. What a complete and utter fail. Come on, how long is it going to take YouTube to just, reverse this? Or just restricted mode will just disappear. They've tried to create this mode that not only protects, the special snowflakes, but it also protects the advertisers from potentially having their ads next to anything that they might deem they don't want to be associated with. We can solve that. You can just imagine them sitting around the table. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. YouTube restricted mode. We can.
Hi, I'm Rebecca, and today I'm going to go over YouTube's restricted mode and show you how to enable it on your computer and mobile devices. You can think of restricted mode like a parental control setting for YouTube. It helps filter out potentially objectionable videos and comments that you and your family might not want to see. And while it's not 100% accurate, we use signals like community flagging and age restrictions to screen out inappropriate videos. Here's something you want to keep in mind. Restricted mode works on a browser level, so you'll need to enable it for each browser on your computer. Some browsers like Chrome support multiple user profiles to keep browsing history and bookmarks separated. If you use multiple profiles on your browser, then you'll need to enable it for each profile. So let's say my nephew comes for a visit. If I have restricted mode enabled and locked on Chrome, he won't be able to change it when he's on his YouTube account. Only I'll be able to turn it off. However, if I didn't turn it on in Firefox, he might be able to see objectionable videos and comments there. Now let's go over exactly how to turn restricted mode on. To get started, just scroll down to the bottom of any YouTube page. Clicking the restricted mode button turns this feature on or off. When it's on, you have the option to lock restricted mode on your browser. When you have restricted mode locked, no one else will be able to change this restricted mode but you. This means that other people using their YouTube accounts will have restricted mode enabled and they won't be able to disable it. And here's another tip. If you don't want this to be tampered with, it's best to sign out of your YouTube account after locking restricted mode on your browser. This way no one can sign in as you and disable it. Now let's go over restricted mode on phones and tablets. Unlike desktop, you can't lock restricted mode on mobile. It's tied to your account and not the device. So if my nephew wants to use my phone, I'll make sure that I turn restricted mode on when he signs in with his account. When you're on the YouTube app or mobile site, just tap the menu icon at the top to get to settings. From here you'll see options to enable or disable restricted mode. Before we go, I want to give you one final tip. Computers found in public places like schools and libraries may have restricted mode turned on. If you're using a public computer and can't disable restricted mode, you'll want to contact the system administrator for help. And that's it. Be sure to subscribe for more tips and tricks. Thanks for watching.
In this video, I want to talk to you about YouTube, specifically its current issues, the new age restriction system, some obvious political bias, and what I think the future plans for the platform might be, what they appear to be. As per usual, YouTube has failed to adequately address the concerns of content creators because, as always, their communication policy leaves a lot to be desired. I'm still regularly receiving complaints from my subscribers on YouTube and Twitter that many of my videos are not hitting their subscription feeds, even with the bell icon thing enabled. Also, many of you have reported to me that you're being automatically unsubscribed from my channel on more than one occasion. Now, this is a long-standing issue, which YouTube has remained fairly silent on. They've even denied there's a problem, with lots of big YouTubers complaining but having their concerns largely fall on deaf ears. Of course, this leads people to assume the worst. Maybe it's not a bug, maybe it's a form of censorship. Of course, that's just a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. But at this point, it has to be said, this is what happens when YouTube fails to address people's questions. They leap to the more extreme ideas. Would you even blame them? This week has been another major time of controversy for YouTube in general. The new age restriction mode was heavily criticized for blocking LGBTQ channels, and a lot of folks have been up in arms about this. Now, many of those types of videos are indeed not really age appropriate for very young children. These channels discuss sexual orientation, and that's just not something very young children should see.
Just to clarify, I also think it's inappropriate for them to be exposed to content concerning sexual relationships of a heterosexual nature also. This kind of content is exactly why age restrictions should be in place.
I produce a lot of content of a political and controversial nature, and a lot of it would genuinely not be suitable for children. Now, as a consequence, a good portion of my videos are invisible in restricted mode. However, this restriction mode is just terrible. It's either all or nothing. Where is the line drawn here? YouTube already has a YouTube Kids app, so I'm not really sure why this was brought in, although I have my theories that I'm going to get into. Now, the YouTube Kids app protects very young children from inappropriate and adult themes and content on YouTube anyway. But what about teen-friendly content? Why is it a one-size-fits-all? It's all or nothing. Surely there should be 3 or 4 different filters to apply, and not just one in the system. I mean, what about numerous age filters set across multiple age ranges? Well, perhaps they'll do that in time, but as with all social media filters and algorithms and bots nowadays, there's always a huge temptation to also apply a political bias within them, and I'm going to get into that now. You see, there's some very glaring exceptions being made in terms of who gets filtered and who doesn't. As you might imagine, the alternative news media channels are being hit by restricted mode the hardest. Philip DeFranco has got to be among the least controversial and most fair and balanced political commentators I can think of, with a very kind of left-of-center perspective. But his channel is completely censored under restricted mode with 0 videos showing up. Next is Sargon of Akkad. Again, about 1 or 2 of his videos are actually viewable on his channel, but under what grounds are his other videos being censored? It's not like Sargon swears in every video. Steven Crowder's channel has 0 videos showing up on it in restricted mode. Alex Jones of InfoWars, his channel, not 1 video shows up. Paul Joseph Watson's channel, not 1 video is viewable. They're all gone. Now you might say, well, Dave, kids should not be watching controversial political content. Sure, I can totally get behind that thinking, but not everyone is being treated fairly here. As we know, the mainstream media and big social networks are desperate to brand the alternative news media as fake news, so as to maintain their hegemony over the news media narrative. Well, wouldn't you know it, CNN, CNBC, NBC, their channels on YouTube are not affected by the age restriction setting. They talk about the same political issues that the alternative media does, but from the correct perspective, right? So they don't get hit with this problem. Are you surprised by this? Because Paul Joseph Watson, Mike Cernovich, Lauren Southern, Sargon of Akkad, Stefan Molyneux, they have hit piece after hit piece written about them by a lot of mainstream publications nowadays, and they're all on the naughty list, as we know. And they're on that list of political dissenters and smeared as right-wing, alt-right fascists on a regular basis. So of course, social networks take it upon themselves to hit them the hardest. Okay, not 1 InfoWars video is viewable, and yet CNN, a genuine fake news source, okay, with a major leftist and globalist bias, has all of its videos viewable. Are you kidding me? Now, if you're going to have such a restricted mode filtering system built in, okay, we can agree to it. Private company, they can do what they want. So, if you're going to do it, can you please have the rules applied to everybody equally? Okay, there's a couple of reasons why this isn't happening. Firstly, any child of any age can pick up a TV remote right now and turn on their TV and find news channels like NBC, CNN, and others. There's no filtering system on a conventional TV. These channels are easily accessed on conventional cable network televisions, and that's the way they'd like it to stay on the internet also. YouTube is owned by Alphabet Incorporated, and CNN is owned by Time Warner. Now, they both contributed, as we know, to the Clinton campaign. Okay, they're aligned politically, and no major corporation, no major multinational media group is going to agree to be filtered under any circumstances. They're obviously not interested in kids watching them, that goes without saying, but they certainly don't want to take the chance that if a child-friendly mode is left enabled on a YouTube account when somebody's watching it on television, for example, using their smart TV, that filter might be left on accidentally and an adult won't be able to see their content. And the reason is establishment mainstream media believe that they are the first, official, approved, and final word on politics. They refuse to be filtered and certainly won't agree to have their viewership restricted in any way. And next up, YouTube TV, as Armored Skeptic states.
They're trying to build this new YouTube, this new core YouTube, where television's at its core now is going to be its like new bread and butter, I think is what they're hoping at least. So those of us who aren't television appropriate, or those of us that might say things that are uncouth, we're gonna get pushed to the edges. So what am I talking about? How do I know that some of us are being pushed to the edges? This is something that I hear a lot in the skeptic community. Some black guy just uploaded a video about this. His videos are not getting the views that he expects to get out of them anymore. Sure, this might be an isolated incident, and it might just be that he doesn't get as many views because organically that's how it worked out. But I'm starting to notice my work doesn't show up in recommended tabs as much anymore. I'm not getting as many views as I used to. TJ's experiencing the same thing. PewDiePie is experiencing the same thing. A lot of channels are not getting the same organic growth or organic viewership that they used to get. And we have reason to believe that that's because YouTube makes some of our content less accessible.
YouTube is pushing into the realm of television now. Its new live TV streaming service is being launched. Now, this is from TechCrunch. According to Bloomberg, YouTube has been talking with all of the major networks to roll up content. CBS was the first major TV network to sign on to the service, with all of the other studios also roped into discussions, including 21st Century Fox, Comcast's NBC Universal, and Disney, which owns ABC, ESPN, and others. YouTube has partnered with all of the broadcast networks in order to offer comprehensive national coverage with ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox all included. In addition, the service is getting CW, USA, FX, FXX, Sci-Fi, Freeform, MSNBC, CNBC, Fox News, Fox Business, Disney, Disney Junior, Nat Geo, Sprout, E, and others. Showtime is available for an additional fee. So, here's YouTube talking about signing with the establishment mainstream media, which it plans to give priority to. Now, consider for a moment, when you switch on your Apple TV underneath your television or your smart TV and activate the YouTube app, by default, you're logged out of YouTube. By default. When you're logged out, the age restriction system is enabled. A lot of people don't bother logging in when watching YouTube on their TVs, which means the alternative media are basically nowhere to be found. But the mainstream are all fully viewable. Now, surely their content is not all safe for kids to watch, and yet it's all there. So this means that you have to log into YouTube on your television and disable the restricted mode, thus making it just that little bit harder to reach your favorite content creators in the alternative news media. And of course, those people new to watching news media on YouTube and they've been watching it with the restriction mode enabled, they may not even know there's an alternative news media out there, so they won't be searching for it. And no doubt more hoops and filters will be added later to further push alternative news channels into the fringes. What would make you think that YouTube was going to make it difficult for any of its partners to not be discoverable in this brave new YouTube era? All right, they want to make it as simple for the mainstream as possible. You see, whether it was SOPA, PIPA, or ACTA, governments, corporations, media conglomerates, and ISPs have tried to regulate the internet. Now, much of that regulation is less about what is viewable and more about what isn't viewable. So censorship is necessary. If you want to turn the internet into a passive media consumption portal, that is, you got to get them to watch your content on the couch. The new landscape these companies want is one where there's a barrier of entry for content creators. They don't want just anybody competing with them. They don't want us competing with them on a level playing field. So there has to be filters and restrictions placed on the alternative media with the mainstream not affected by them. They want the internet to be television 2.0, and they're investing heavily in making this happen. Now, it's disturbing to them that someone like Philip DeFranco or PewDiePie gets more views than they do, and they get a bigger reach, and they have this young generation following them. These companies have hundreds of employees and tons of expenses, and yet they're getting their asses handed to them online, often by young people sitting in their bedrooms using Final Cut Pro and Premiere. Look at PewDiePie. His channel has a huge following of young people. He's the biggest of all the YouTubers, 54 million subscribers. My nephew grew up watching PewDiePie, and not one of PewDiePie's videos is viewable under this new restricted mode. Not one. Is it any wonder that Disney, who's now going to be involved in YouTube TV, and of course they own Maker Studios, is it any wonder they dropped him? It's beginning to make sense now, isn't it? The sanitization of this platform is well and truly underway. Now, I actually think that Greg made a very good point here when he says that the unexplained and ongoing subscriber drops that users have been experiencing on their channels may be an attempt to make it look like people are organically unsubscribing, but in truth, there's more people complaining about being unsubbed against their will.
There seems to be some sort of passive age restriction algorithm that is losing people subscribers. If this is a thing, people are losing subscribers slowly for no reason. Like as if it's a conspiracy that they're draining them slowly. All the younger kids are now unable to see our channels, and they're slowly removing them from our sub box and making it look like it's organic when really it's not. That's my tinfoil hat theory.
So you have media consolidation happening. ISPs being bought by Silicon Valley companies. Media giants investing in telecoms companies. Right now, we have to try and make sense of what's happening because all of these corporations are pushing back against grassroots alternative media by trying to once again become the gatekeepers. So they control the power pieces on the chessboard, and we don't know what pieces are going to be moved around next, or where they're going to go, or by who. One thing's for sure, they're throwing a lot of money around, and they're starting to learn to adapt to our presence. Now, such filters like what I've talked about here often are enabled when logged out on certain devices like smart TVs or tablets, for example. And that would explain the recent drop in view counts that many alternative media content creators, myself included, have begun to experience recently. Those viewers watching in logged out mode, they get a very different version of YouTube. Okay, they experience a different YouTube. This is not an accident. It's part of a strategy to undermine our influence and push us to the fringes. Please know that this will include our political opponents on the far left also. So don't think for a second that the mainstream media cares about the Young Turks, for example. Just because they may line up with them politically. The MSM lumps all of the alternative media together anyway, irrespective of whether they're on the left or on the right. Now they're attempting to build the next media frontier by merging conventional television with on-demand streaming services that they will have full control over with their preferred MSM partners. Nothing is new here, alright? So just look at the so-called trending feed on YouTube. It's not a trending feed when it's just like Twitter's hashtag trending feed. It's a manipulated, curated feed of safe and sanitized content from preferred sources only. Once upon a time, Hollywood was a truly innovative place, and then the money men took over, and now it seems that the same thing is happening with once great social network portals. The future of the alternative media will likely lie with new platforms that the MSM can't touch and can't censor. Now, I can be found pretty much everywhere these days, so follow me on platforms where the content discovery algorithms are egalitarian and not slanted and skewed in favor of certain people. That's Minds.com, that's vid.me, and that's gab.ai. But I suspect, through no fault of our own, our future here on YouTube may start to become a little bit more challenging as the days pass by.